Yeah, I think the next 4 months are going to be pretty long over here. It's going to be like, the last 4 months of pregnancy, but way, 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 way longer.
And can you book yourself in for an epidural?
Like I said, the tequila's not working. I tried it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special relationship, the show that is brought together by a shared love of political chaos, only to be torn asunder by that pesky ocean. I'm your host, Andrea Bridges Smith, and with me is a man who survived 14 years of Tory rule and lived to tell the tale. It's Matt Johnston. Matt, on a scale of proper chuffed to quite rightly chuffed, how much jubilation are you experiencing right now?
Well, first of all, excellent use of the word chuffed, by the way. But yeah,
Thank you.
I am feeling strangely empty, which is odd, as I should be feeling, as you say, happy, excited. But it's more like I'm still getting used to things being run, well, relatively normally, and politicians actually answering questions that are put to them. It's reassuring, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
strange.
I think it's going to take some time for you to recover from those years. Give yourself the emotional space to do so. I know how much British people love to do that. And please, while you're at it, everyone spare a thought for poor Liz Truss, who lost her seat in Parliament in a crushing defeat that was at the same time utterly predictable.
Yeah, it was definitely a sobering moment for the Tories. And being sober is something they clearly hate. Uh, it, it was it was quite the definite fall from grace, right? I mean, they were dropping 250 seats in, I want to
Wow.
say, a short 5 years, but it didn't feel that short. So, Andrea, how about some interesting tidbits of info when it comes to the parliamentary handover, as it were?
That is how I like my info, small and manageable.
Right. Okay. So apparently over there in America land, the outgoing president has a number of weeks to move out, right? Is that right? About a month or something?
Yes.
Well, over here in Yuck, well, they have to leave the next day, the very next day, in fact. How's that for passive aggressive? The moving trucks come that morning and ship everything out, which moves me on to my first observation, which is America's political system seems to be very slow. For a country that likes its cars, food, and furious movies fast, you definitely take your time over the political stuff.
Yes, we really do know how to drag some shit out. You should see what we do with accountability for people who try to overthrow democracy. It takes decades.
Right. I mean, people talking about there's no time to move Biden out when it's another 4 months to the election. That's like three Liz Trusses. Also, in order to resign, the outgoing prime minister has to visit the king and ask to tender the resignation. And then the incoming prime minister drives in their own car and is appointed by the king and then leaves in the prime minister's official car. And do you know who holds power between one MP coming in and the other one leaving?
I'm gonna guess the guy with the crown on his head.
Correct. And it made me think all these, if you're the king to have one of these weird senses of humor, you could do that, couldn't you? One person comes in, tenders their resignation, and you'd be like, pack your bags, we're going on holiday, and just just leave the place. And we're
That would be
taking the
hilarious.
nuclear launch codes with us.
That would be really funny. Just King Charles, for Matt's sake, for the sake of comedy, think about it next time, okay? It'll be fun.
Yeah. I tell you what, you probably thought about it this time, to be fair, but there we go. Yeah, so yes, the king has all the power, as it were. So for all the pomp and fluffy hats and tradition that makes our parliament look more and more like Hogwarts every day, Keir Starmer does also have a rather grim task to complete as well, writing what are known as the letters of last resort.
Wow, that sounds very ominous. What's that?
Yeah, so these are four letters, right, written to the commanders of nuclear submarines in the event of what to do with their nuclear weapons if the country is destroyed. And
Wow.
get this, it's down to the nuclear submarine commanders to decide when the UK is destroyed. I mean, how does that even work? You're like, look at what the Russians have done to Croydon. Oh, no, it always looks like that. Okay. Yeah.
I have to say that is a very dark way to start your tenure as prime minister. It's like, welcome, welcome. It's good to see you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Now, what do we do if we are all gonna die? Like it's
Yes.
like the very first thing. That's a hell of a way to kind of put him in his place after after all the parties and whatnot.
So, and the thing is, obviously, nobody knows what these letters say. They're actually written, sealed, and then, well, I would say nobody knows. The Prime Minister knows, and then put into a safe inside the submarines themselves. And that only has access to the captain and the what's the second in command on the particular submarine.
What do you think the odds are that they go take a peek? They got to go in
Yeah,
and take a
yeah,
peek,
yeah.
right?
You get drunk one night or something, you know what I mean? And you're like, wow, it says here that we don't have any nuclear warheads at all. It's all just a big, humongous bluff to make the Russians think that we do. Um, and another thought that occurred to me, which is if you open the letter, would it either say revenge, take revenge for our corpses? Or would it simply say, do what you like, do what you guys like, learn a bit of Russian. You're going to, you might need, switch sides
Right.
if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So never mind the country being wiped out. How about the Conservatives being wiped out? Now, I was trying to find an old episode of this podcast for a prediction I made. I wasn't able to find it, but it was about the number of Conservative MPs I thought there would be left after the election. And I think I said between 100 to 150. I mean, do you remember that, Andrea?
I mean, vaguely. I have been drinking a lot lately, to be fair.
Fair enough. Yeah. So anyway, I'm feeling quite smug with that prediction. And the 121 seats is actually the smallest number by the Conservatives in their 190-year existence. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's where we are over here, Andrea. All done and dusted in the time it took you guys to have your last presidential debate. Speaking of which, what's going on over there?
Yeah, no, pretty chill time over here. Not much going on. Matt, I actually kind of wanted to ask you about something. No, no, I shouldn't. It's silly.
Oh, no, no. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, do you remember that time? And I can't even believe I'm talking about this. Do you remember that time about 200-ish years ago where we kind of like, broke up with you guys?
Oh, you're going to bring that up again, are you? Yes, we still bear the scars.
Well, I mean, what if you guys, like, I don't know, took us back? Because we have no idea what the fuck we're doing right now.
Oh, really? Well, all I can say is, well, 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 looky who's come crawling back.
It's been an interesting time the past couple of weeks. I'm sure that you have heard about Biden's disastrous debate performance a couple of weeks ago. You heard about that, right?
Yeah, yeah, I did, yes. But from
And
your
you're,
excellent channel, by the way.
well, thank you very much. You're probably wondering, now how bad could it have been, really? And the answer to that is way worse than you would think. So, to give you some context, Austin came over to watch it with us because we were filming a debate recap right afterwards, ha ha, funny jokes, let's make fun of the candidates kind of a thing. I could hear Austin's soul dying at the end of my sofa. It was audible, okay? And then my husband gets up, who was watching it with us, and he's like, I don't know how you're going to make jokes about this because nothing about this is funny. Bye. And he takes off to go watch baseball instead. And he was right. We still did the job anyway because we're pros, but we definitely had some drinks while we were doing it.
Sometimes, honestly, it's the only way to go. I mean, good on you both for giving it a go, right? And yes, I did watch your recap, obviously, and you both had the look of two comedians who were parachuted onto Omaha Beach.
Honestly, we might have preferred some tanks. We might have had an easier job. So pretty much immediately after that debate, people started calling for Biden to step out of the presidential race or even give up the presidency altogether and step down and swear in Kamala Harris as the president right away. And as of right now, I'm gonna timestamp this because this is a fast-moving situation that changes by the second. Right now, it is 9:51 a.m. Central Time in the U.S. as we're recording this. I should note that some polling came out this morning that showed bad news for Biden, including that New York is becoming a battleground state, which is not normal. Normally, that would be a solid Democrat win, no questions asked, but now it's moving to a toss up category, which is utterly bizarre. There were some other polls as well that were bad news. Yesterday, he had some meetings and everyone was like, no, I think we're going to stick with him. But this new polling came out. It could change everything. We don't know what is going to happen. But as of right now, 9:52 a.m. Central Time, U.S. on Wednesday, Biden is still the nominee. And if he does end up being the final nominee, let me just say, I will, of course, still vote for him, even if they have to weekend at Bernie's ass, because the alternative is that my husband gets to decide if I'm allowed to drive or not. But I am not happy right now, and a lot of other people are not either. And this has basically caused a civil war in the Democratic Party.
Oh, well, if there's a civil war, can we, the British, pick a side to give you munitions to, please? And France can have the other side, right? I mean, that's how it works, right?
That's how it always works. It's a good system. So on the one side, you've got people who are like, Biden is a good man who has done a good job, and we can't switch now because it'll be total chaos. And those are all very good points. He is a good man. He has done wonderful things as president. He works hard for the people every day. And changing the candidate this late in the game would be chaos. Those things are all true.
Okay, I am genuinely confused why it is too late. For instance, to give you some context, although this would have been madness anyway, but some of the Conservative candidates, after Rishi Sunak called the election, were getting ready to try to have a leadership election. That would have been
if
insane.
You guys can do it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, you understand American politics obviously better than I do, Andrea. So please, anyway, continue.
I'm not saying that I don't agree with you there. It does seem like it's possible, and it is. But, on the other hand, there were 50 million people who watched him publicly fail on live TV, and millions more have seen the clips on social media afterwards. We all saw what we saw, and there is no unseeing it. Believe me, I have tried. Tequila doesn't work. I can tell you from my experimentation personally, it's just not effective in this circumstance. And, here's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about several things. One of them is, what if Russia launches a nuke and he's having a day like that, where he's just completely befuddled? Could he even perform the duties of the office in that state? If there's some kind of emergency and they have to rush him into the situation room and it's like, so-and-so is bombing so-and-so, what do we do about it? And he's the guy that has to make the decision, but, he was up till midnight last night, so he's completely non-functional. I mean, what do we do?
Yeah, I mean, there is that, certainly. Yeah, he had that sort of lost look on his face, didn't he, during the debate? So, it's a real worry.
Exactly. And then ever since the debate, there has been so much gaslighting. So first they said that his terrible performance was because he had a cold. A cold? Are you kidding me? As a mom who has had, the entire family sick at all at one time, with various colds and other things, you don't get a day off for a freaking cold, okay? And also, if he was so sick, why is he in a room with other humans giving them germs? I mean, last debate that he had with Trump, he showed up with COVID and damn near infected the whole entire room, could have taken out Joe Biden then, so why are we doing that? Why are we being in a room with people if we're sick?
Yeah, I do remember Trump trying to direct his cough. So.
Yeah. If only he'd had stronger lungs. Then after they, said he was sick, then they said, oh, no, actually he was jet lagged from travel. It was both of those things. He was jet lagged and he had this cold. But he had been back in the country for 11 days, okay? He had been back at Camp David doing debate prep the week before, which is in Maryland, which D.C. is like right next to Maryland, okay? He did not leave the time zone for the week prior, and he took naps every day during debate prep. So, that didn't make any sense. And also, this is the one person on the planet that probably does the most international travel. So, jet lag really shouldn't incapacitate him for the next 2 weeks, you know?
Mm.
And then there's more bullshit excuses and stories coming out, about he told people apparently that, oh, I just need to, go to bed earlier at night, take more breaks and not do so many late night events. And I'm sorry, but we need a president that can do everything all the time. These are not geopolitically chill times that we are living in.
Yeah, quite so. There was a funny thing actually with Keir Starmer. Obviously, it was entirely different. As I mentioned the other week, he's only 61, but he said he wants to keep Friday evenings free to spend a bit of time with the family. And
He's
the
the
right
prime
wing press
minister.
lost their shit. It's just like, no, you've got to keep this job. You've got to keep it 20. And then they, I think the very first day he actually spoke to President Biden,
Mm-hmm.
and he sort of Air Force One or whatever, and then the right wing press turned around and said, "See, he's a liar. He did work Friday evenings." It's just like, yes, all right, not every
Oh,
Friday. You do
yeah.
need to sort of have breaks and things like that. But you're right, you will be called in. It's not a 9 to 5 job, is it?
Exactly. The geopolitical situation that is going on doesn't stop because it's bedtime for you. Like
Yes.
that's not how it works. It's like, yeah, I'm sure you would like time with your family. Get it where you can take it, okay? Because shit happens on Friday nights. You need to be ready to go.
Yeah.
Where we're at right now is our main presidential candidates have brains that are like a bowl of spaghetti. Biden's has a nice traditional marinara sauce. Trump's is covered in Doritos and ranch dressing. And RFK Jr. spaghetti is moving because the noodles are worms. This
Wow.
is supposed to be the best country on the planet. These cannot be our best options for president.
Okay, I might be able to help you here, and I know you're probably just going to say no, but Liz Truss isn't doing anything at the moment. Although, as you say, if the election is 4 months away, she might not make it to then.
I mean, my kingdom for a competent piece of produce right now. Bring it on. Give me. Is there a carrot that would like to step up? Let's see what we got. Listen, I understand that this is an impossible choice, and there is huge risk, no matter which way we go. That no one
Mm.
is 100% right here, and I completely understand that. But everything that Biden says or does from now until November is going to be looked at with a microscope. And underneath that microscope will be a second, smaller microscope. And right now, he is trapped in what I like to call the paradox of vigorousness, because I love to make up new terms. And the paradox of vigorousness is this: the only way for him to fix what he broke right now is to get out there and do a ton of events, get off the teleprompters, do town halls. He needs to be out in front of the public
Mm.
performing with perfection. He needs to do a lot of things and he needs to do them all perfectly. Now, the problem with that is that getting out there and doing more things and having a packed schedule and being on all the time is going to make him more tired. And that is how we got into this mess in the first place. So, no matter what he does, if he hides and rests, it projects weakness. If he comes out and tries to project strength, he will fail because he can't
Mm.
do it. He is in a no win situation right now. And every time he makes the slightest mistake, and he will, it is all that everyone will talk about. And we have to talk about how crazy and dangerous the other guy is so that we can remind people why we can't let him back into the White House. I am a big fan of Joe Biden. I think he's done a great job. But if he is not capable of doing that job all day, every day, and sometimes at night too, then he
Yes.
should step aside and let one of the other many capable people take over.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a plan, really. Yeah.
So, Matt, I know you've been on the outside looking in, but I'm curious what you and your fellow Brits have been making of all this.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to be blunt, but probably not a lot. I suppose mainly because we've been having our own little political things going on over here, as you can imagine.
Right.
But I see as well that Starmer took off today to go to the NATO summit and then to address the UN. So this will be the first time he'll have met Biden in person since assuming his new role. So if Biden says what happened to Churchill, then we know we're all in trouble, right?
We're not ruling it out.
No.
I think he did give a speech last night at NATO, and it was a good one.
Right.
But I'm pretty much bracing myself for him to screw up sometime this week in front of a bunch of world leaders while a bunch of cameras are pointed at him. So fingers crossed I'm wrong, but I don't know. So let me just say two things here, and then I promise I'll stop being an angry pundit and try to look at the bright side and do comedy stuff. One, I want to quickly take a look at this clip from Representative Adam Schiff on Meet the Press, which sums it up perfectly.
Given Joe Biden's incredible record, given Donald Trump's terrible record, he should be mopping the floor with Donald Trump. Joe Biden is running against a criminal. It should not be even close, and there's only one reason it is close, and that's the president's age.
And so if we remove age as a factor, if we get someone in there who is younger and more coherent and more forceful, and we go back to making Trump look like the old senile one, which he definitely is, then what does that do to the race? I mean, it's risky, but it could really be positive.
And it's starting to sound less and less risky.
That's what I think. And, you know, also there's one scenario that no one has talked about in all of this, which is, what if Donald Trump dies between now and Election Day? That is completely possible. He is almost as old as Biden. We don't know what's going on under all that bronzer. And he looks like a guy that could drop dead of a heart attack at any minute. You know, so with him gone, his VP becomes the nominee, who is almost certainly going to be much younger and less crazy sounding and won't have all of his baggage. And I think in that scenario, Biden gets crushed.
Yeah, that is an issue, certainly. I mean, Biden looks like he could be crushed by a strong wind sometimes. It's not. I think he's starting to morph into Montgomery Burns when I look at him sometimes, obviously within physical characteristics rather than, you know, emotionally or mentally or anything.
Right. And, you know, we got a bunch of Smithers who just keep propping him up, you know, Smithers, stand down, let it go. You know, all that to say, again, how jealous I am of you guys. Your whole election, 6 weeks, couple of milkshakes thrown around, new guy wins, Rishi's booted out of 10 Downing the next day. It is perfection. I'm jealous.
And France did it in, well, not quite half the time that we did, just about a month as well.
I love this European quick election vibe. I would love more of that in our lives. You know, I did say that I was going to try and look on the bright side and, you know, not be so doom and gloom. And there is one good thing about this whole situation, which is that, you know, the right has been talking about how Democrats have a deep state and there's this massive conspiracy to control everything. And I think we have finally put those rumors to bed. No one can look at this party right now and think that they are remotely capable of any vast conspiracies. So we got that going for us, I guess.
Yeah. Nobody's controlling anything. Don't panic. Yes.
Exactly. Yes. What a weird time to live in. Anyway, next week is the Republican National Convention, where Trump will officially become the nominee, and he, I'm sure, will give the same damn speech that he gives every single time he steps out on a stage. And Matt, if you're trying to find an old white guy, this will be an excellent place to look. However, if you are looking for a woman of color, keep circling the block. You're bound to see one sooner or later.
Yeah, what you guys really need is some dynamic young 70-year-old ready to drag the country kicking and screaming, or at least hollering and shooting into the 19th century.
Be careful what you wish for. We could end up there.
Oh, by the way, talking of females, and sorry to keep sounding oh so smug about this, Andrea, but there are now 41% of our parliament who are women. It's the largest number ever. It's also the largest number of ethnic minorities, 14%, still below the actual 80% that make up the country. And 8% of those also in parliament are from the LGBT community, making our parliament, as one of the gay MPs actually said, it's called it one of the gayest in the world. Wow. How gay? Well, this was Angela Rayner in London in 2019 dancing at a pride march. She's now our deputy prime minister. Not sure I could ever see Mike Pence carrying that off. There we go. Take that, Philippines. So interestingly, Andrea, do you know which country that alongside Philippines has the most people, per percentage that identify as LGBT?
It's a good question, and I'm actually surprised that number one is the Philippines. I'm going to keep the P countries going and say maybe Portugal.
No, it is actually you guys.
Oh,
I don't suppose you've got a young gay Democrat ready to take up the mantle for nominee, have you?
we actually do. Name's Pete Buttigieg. He's the Secretary of Transportation. His husband's adorable, and I'd take him in a second because he's not 472 years old. Pete, get in here. Let's go.
Wonderful stuff. By the way, so how does it work if, I'm touching wood here, if Biden, all right, I'll just say it, if he just drops dead, how does it work? Does, if between now and the election, he drops dead, does Kamala Harris automatically become the nominee?
Yes, so she would become the president, and since she is the vice president on the ticket, then yes, she would become the nominee. And so there's been some debate about, okay, if not Biden, then who do we replace him with? And she's the obvious choice. She would most easily have access to the campaign money that they've raised because she's, on the same campaign with him. So, and she's already been vetted. So over here, I don't know if you guys do this over there, but there's a whole vetting process for president, so, and it
Sorry
is
for
basically...
laughing. There's a funny story, but anyway, I'll let you carry on.
Okay, let's get back to that funny story in a minute because I do want to hear
Yes,
that. But
yes.
so it's basically like a colonoscopy of your entire life. They take apart everything that you have ever done, written, your elementary school report cards. Like they look at everything, and they look for all the things that all the skeletons in your closet. They're hiding, waiting to bite you in the ass, essentially. And so she obviously has been through that process, which is how she wound up as the vice presidential nominee. So none of the other candidates that are being floated have been through that, extremely detailed process yet. So, there could be some wild cards out there if it was somebody besides her. But that being said, she is tied to Biden for better or for worse. She is not well liked. She doesn't have high approval ratings. Sometimes, like you said, she can be a little plastic and kind of too much of a politician, So I don't know. It's, I think there are some other candidates who are better candidates, but, we'd have to wait and see. So tell me your funny story about the vetting process.
Okay. So obviously it's not as rigorous as somebody, you'd expect it to be fairly rigorous. It's like the most powerful person on the planet. So you'd expect that. But the Reform Party, I got to keep a straight face while I say this. The Reform Party, who Nigel Farage is the leader of, right? Trump's buddy. They basically, because their whole thing is immigration, you'd be surprised to hear they have their share of racists within the party ready to stand to be MPs. I know, I'm as shocked as anybody. No. So in order to sift them out, as it were, so they don't just get known as the racist party, although I figure, they still will anyway. But in order to sift them out, they had a vetting company come along to vet all their candidates. It's nowhere near the same sort of, standard, but it's sort of things like your social media, and the vetting company didn't do it. And so they got all kind of angry at the vetting company for not doing it. But it turns out, in fact, that they had not included the names of the people that they wanted them to vet. kind of important, really. It's some of the full information that it comes with the individuals. And so all these people slip through the net. And one of the other things that Reform is facing, because there were some rumors going around that they put up people for candidacy that didn't exist. And a lot of it came about because one chap decided that he wasn't happy with his face. So he made an AI version of his face and put that on all the leaflets. So of course, you can, I mean, AI is not so good now that you can't spot the difference between AI and a regular looking person.
Right.
You know? So everybody was like going, well, this is AI generated. It's clearly fake. So
Yeah, why does he have 7 fingers?
seven fingers, yeah, yeah. Well, he made himself have a lot more hair, a lot slimmer. I mean, it's that simple, right? A lot more tanned. Yes, he looks a lot healthier in his AI, actually, funny enough.
Well, now he's got a good dating profile picture to fall back on, so that's nice.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Come the day when I won't need to put a suit and funny glasses on, I'll get my AI to do it.
There you go. There you go. So, Matt, there was one thing I was going to ask you about. What happened to my good friend Jacob ReesMogg? Is he okay? How's it going?
Yes, he
He's
also
out.
lost his seat. Yeah,
Oh no! He
it's
had to take his top hat and go. That's so
yes.
sad.
He's to be fair to Jacob Rees-Mogg, and I can't believe I'm saying it because I definitely don't want to be fair to Jacob Rees-Mogg. He was very polite and very respectful in losing, I suppose, for want of a better expression. But he's got no end of money. He's not going to be shy of a few quid, and he's still going to have his show on GB News, which, as we spoke about, is the British equivalent of Fox News, to allow him to spout his nonsense, as it were. We're going back to this again, which is when Keir Starmer came into the House of Commons to deliver his first speech as Prime Minister, the first thing he did before he even went and sat down and delivered it was go over and shake hands with Rishi Sunak. And that's, again, been a little disconcerting because it's been great that they've turned around and kind of gone, I concede, Rishi Sunak saying, I concede defeat, etc., to my rival. I wish him the best
Right.
of luck. But I'm not sure I want it to be this, Pally. I still want there to be a little bit of like, even if he turns around and, I kind of, everybody kept saying about Keir Starmer, oh, it's a continuation of what the Tories have done. Somewhere along the lines, yes. But there are going to be, I've just done the video now on my channel called The Grown-Ups Back in Charge, but question mark. But it is nice at least to have people that seem to be a bit more rational about what they're doing, certainly. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's that's kind of the thing over here is neither political party is super awesome, but if you have to pick one, I know which one I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that I would like to see changed with it, and it sounds like it's kind of the same over there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. More to talk about. Anyway, and there's going to be a Conservative Party leadership election. Rishi Sunak is sticking around until that happens, so that we'll have a bit more to cover on that next week. Or not next week. We're not here next week, but the week after.
Okay, I'm looking forward to
And
that. Sword Lady? Sword Lady?
Sorry.
Is it going to be Sword Lady, do we think?
She lost her seat too.
Really?
Penny Mordaunt. Yeah, she lost her seat too. There we go. I'm trying to think of other people that would have lost their seat that you might have heard of. Penny Mordaunt lost her seat. Kemi Badenoch kept hold of her seat, and she'll probably be challenging. Suella Braverman kept hold of her seat.
Really?
She might be challenging, but a lot of people have come out and said they're not happy with her at all. So, I mean, besides
kind
us,
of her fault.
it's actually people in the Conservative Party that will decide. The Conservative Party conference is happening in October, November, and they reckon they're going to wait till then in which to sort of launch the new leader, as it were. They'll probably have some sort of leadership around that time, which means several more months. In fact, by the time we come back, despite me saying about the fact 4 months is easy enough time to change prime ministers, not Conservative leaders, apparently, but there we go.
Yeah, I think the next 4 months are going to be pretty long over here, and it's going to be like, the last 4 months of pregnancy, but way, 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 way longer.
and more painful. I mean, I don't know, but I imagine more painful.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, and can you book yourself in for an epidural?
Like I said, the tequila's not working. I tried it. I have to white knuckle our way through this shit. It's oh boy.
Right.
Let me know if you want to trade places. Happy to switch with you if you want.
I think we're okay at the moment. Although that would, I would imagine, make it easier to get a trade deal. We're still talking about that, but there we go. All right.
Yeah.
So, okay, folks. Well, that is all that we've got time this week. Yes, it was a bit of a long one, but we did have a lot to catch up on. So no show next week either, but we will be back on the 24th. Look out for us then. In the meantime, Andrew's News Phoenix network can be found right here, so you don't need to go anywhere. Although you do need to subscribe to make sure that you don't miss the next installment of Grumpy Old Men. And my channel is at theinterestingtimes.co.uk. So go there and subscribe to get all the latest on UK politics. Thanks all, and we'll see you all in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.